Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melissa, and this is Melissa Knits for Fun. Today is going to be a quick knit and chat. I want to talk all about the game of wool. We'll get into that with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there is plenty to go around in all of those categories. And guys, be warned and buckle up because I got some spicy opinions coming at you about it. But first, I want to share what I'm wearing and do a little bit of housekeeping. So what I'm wearing today, this is a sweater that I test knit earlier in the year for Jennifer Owens. And it is the Delft sweater, D-E-L-F-T. I will put the information in here. And it is just a beautiful, just a stunning pattern. I don't know that it was inspired by the China, but it sure does look like it to me. But it is just stunning and I love wearing it. I get comments on it every time that I wear this all day today. I've been online in my meetings and everybody has talked about my sweater. So Jennifer, thank you so much for giving me something to make that has sparked so much conversation. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. If you like my channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, share, do all of the YouTube things because it really does help my channel to grow. And I do see by analytics that more people come and watch than are subscribing. All right, enough of that. Let's just get into the meat. Guys, Game of Wool. If you don't know what Game of Wool is, it is a new, it's not really a game show. It's along the same lines as like the Great British Bake Off or the Great Pottery Throwdown or apparently the Sewing Bee. I haven't watched any of those, so I can't say whether it is, but that's what I understand. And it is a contest. You have knitters and crocheters that are coming in and they are knitting and crocheting items as they go along. And there's two of them. There's a big knit where they do an individual knit. The first week they had to do a Fair Isle vest. And then they have a team knit where they split off into teams based on how many people are actually left. Right? Like this last week, there were 7 people left. So one team had 4, one team had 3. And it was a wall hanging. So one team had to have 4 sections. One team had to have 3. Now, the first week they had to do couch covers, which was a little weird to me, but whatever. There is an individual knit and there is a team knit. Now, the good is, guys, let's just acknowledge, we've got knitting on a mainstream show. This is on Channel 4 in the UK. And you can find it here in the US on YouTube, and it's all legal apparently, so nobody's doing anything wrong by streaming it here. I think it is the channel itself that's streaming it to try to get a US audience. But we are able to go out and watch it. There are 8 episodes total. Last night I watched episode 4, so we're about halfway through. And what I can tell you is, the good thing is people are talking about this. We've got knitting out there. People are talking about knitting. People are wanting to learn to knit. Yarn shops are having people show up wanting to buy yarn and wanting to learn how to knit. Now that's both good and bad. I got some stuff to say about it kind of in the bad category. But in the good category, we've got people, more people interested. Because guys, you got to get people interested. You cannot have an art that dies because then there won't be anybody there to support the local yarn stores and to support the individual pattern designers, right? You have to have a market for that. So it can't all be us old people, right? Can't be all people like me that are like, oh yeah, I got some gray in my hair. Can't just be that. You need a younger contingent as well. So it's exciting that we have knitting in the mainstream that's getting people to talk. Because guys, is it perfect? No. It is not. It is by no means perfect. One of the weeks was swimwear. Whew, do not know why. That was horrible. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. But they did swimwear. But guys, perfection is the enemy of progress. And I think for a first season is pretty good. And if you don't believe me, go back if you've never watched the first season of the Great British Bake Off. Go find it. It used to be on Roku for free. I'm assuming it still is. I don't know how anybody watched it after that first season. I did because I had started watching in the middle of it and I wanted to go back and watch. It was not very good. It was nowhere near like it is today. So give it some time, guys. It will get better. If it doesn't get better, it doesn't continue to progress, then we can talk about it all being bad. But it is not all bad. There are good things. Other good things. There are knitters that are getting their name out there. I know Holger, one of the guys who is, he's super talented. But he is a designer. I don't know. I do not know his story, so I do not know. Maybe he's a super successful designer and he's not looking for a job or any, he's just doing this because he loves to knit. But you know what? This could be a way for him to get publicity so that he is being put in front of the big design houses. I don't know. But yay, all of these people are on TV and are getting recognized for their skills. Good for them. And then the last good, which kind of goes along with this, and people are saying it's really bad. And I'm just going to say, mind your business. You do not get to say it's bad without knowing and without talking to people. If one of the contestants came out and said, oh, this is really bad, okay. But the casual viewer who is watching making judgment calls about how somebody's being treated, y'all just need to sit down and stop talking. Because I realize that these designs, right, there's awards. There's not awards. Well, there are awards, but the winner of the individual design the first week where they did the Fair Isle vest, it was Alyssa, who I really like her too. But she won, and then the next day, Rowan, who had sponsored the yarn that night, they had on their website the pattern and a kit for it. And there are people on the internet that are complaining, oh, it's not right, it was their design and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's more to it than just creating a design to making it marketable and sellable. So I am positive that Rowan had to take that and get it into a state where it could be sold. And they're sponsoring this. These contestants are not buying their own yarn. All of this yarn is being furnished to them. So Rowan needs to get something out of it. Companies don't go into business to not make money, guys. Deal with it, right? This is how business works. So I don't have a big beef with that because I'm positive that as a contestant, they were told this ahead of time and they probably had to sign something saying, yes, we are okay with this. I don't know. They may get a commission off of everyone sold. I have no idea. I'm not going to be doing the Fair Isle sweater. I mean, it was really cute, but it's not something I would wear. But that 80s mohair style sweater from the second week, the one that won, I might have to knit that. And I know that Wool and the Gang, who provided the mohair for that, they had to do something with the pattern because the pattern was not finished. Like the design was not finished when they got done. It didn't have one sleeve and stuff. So I know that they had to do something to make it to where it could be marketed. So those are the really good things I think about it. The contestants seem really nice. I've connected with some of them. No, I know none of them, but I'm following some of them on Instagram and I'm interested in what they're doing. So it is getting them some publicity and getting them some followers and stuff. And one of the guys, Gordon, I think was his name. I'm not going to tell you anything other than Gordon was his name, and he spun up a YouTube channel and apparently it's doing really, really well. So there are some good things coming out of this. Now, it ain't all rainbows and unicorns. There's some bad things too. I do not think it's right to have this kind of a show and cast someone who is a beginner knitter, who's only been knitting for a few months and has not crocheted. It's not right. I mean, I felt sorry for this girl. There was an episode where I really kind of felt like they were being mean to her, and I didn't like it. I think you set people like that up for failure. Now, I think she did a good job with her limited skill set. I was really impressed with what she was able to do. But it's not at the level of competition. So I don't think that was right. In my mind and in my book, that was bad. Now, another thing that I would say is not great is they have tagged this as the Game of Wool, Britain's best knitter. But they expect you to be excellent in crochet as well. And in fact, this last week, somebody almost went home because they had exhausted their crochet stitches. Well, I am an excellent knitter. And while I do know how to crochet, And I crocheted before I knitted. The reason I didn't do a lot with it was I could not get those stitches. The stitches just didn't make sense to me. Knitting makes sense to me because it's a knit or it's a purl. The two are not the same, guys. So to me, this is bad. You should not be announcing it and casting it, and your tagline be Britain's best knitter, and then you expect them to have off the charts crochet skills too. No, if you want to do that, then it needs to be Game of Wool, Britain's best fiber artist, or Britain's best knitter and crocheter, or whatever, but not just knitter. The two are different, and that in my book is bad. It's really bad. Now, the ugly. And this is where I'm going to get kind of spicy. You know, I've already said that there are people that just need to sit down and stop talking. The internet, you know, the internet's a horrible place because people can just say things and they can spout things off. And I think about the nitpicks thing where people were like, oh, nitpicks has bugs, except for nobody could ever show the bugs. Anyway, I digress. The thing that's bothering me about this, I have no problem if you're saying, hey, this isn't exactly what we expected it to be. But to be out there saying how it's all horrible and that, you know, this is just horrible and they're not showing knitting the way that it should be shown. That's a bit of gatekeeping, people. There's good, bad, and ugly to knitting too. And there is chunky yarn. There are people that learn big, chunky yarn as their first project. There's you know, all kinds of things that don't, there are designs out there that I look at that I go, oh, that is ugly. And let me tell you, you YouTubers, and I'm sure that you've done this to me too, but I'll tell you, there are things that I look at that y'all knitted that I'm like, why the heck would you knit that? That is like just god-awful ugly. That's because everybody has an opinion about what they like, and that's okay. And it is certainly okay that in your opinion, knitting is not being shown right, but don't go out there and try to turn off people who don't know anything about knitting by saying, oh, you shouldn't be looking at that. That's not a representative. No, come have a conversation. And guys, if you're upset, and I saw this too, sorry, my nose is itching. I saw this out there too. Somebody was griping about people showing up in yarn shops and saying, I want to knit a Fair Isle sweater as my very first project. Woo! Yes, show me how to do it. I want to use this chunky yarn. Don't be upset about that. Let the yarn store owners or the people in the shop, the instructors, the yarn store owners, people like me who just happen to hang out in shops and have people ask questions, there is a responsibility to have a conversation. There was a lady that came in this week, said, hey, I want to knit a sweater. So what do I need to do to get started? I've never knit before. And I told her, I think you're doing yourself a disservice by doing that. You need to start with the basics. You need to learn to knit, and then you need to learn to purl. Then you need to learn how to put them together. You will build a good foundation, and you will learn things like tension, etc. Let those people have those conversations. Put that on your podcast. Hey, this doesn't really represent it because you need to learn a totally different way. But don't be out there trying to keep people, because that's how I take it. Like, I've watched a couple and I've read some stuff out there in the social media world, and if I didn't know anything about knitting and I were a new knitter, I would never want to knit by some of the things that are being said. So guys, stop it. Stop it. Stop gatekeeping. All right. So that's the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's my spicy opinion about all of it. So people will either love me or hate me. Either way, comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. And guys, I'll be back later this week with a regular episode all about what I've been knitting. So I hope to see y'all, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.